Hi, my name is Pam Denny. I'm the designer and architect of the Maximo BI or Business Intelligence Tools. In today's demo, we're going to explore Maximo76 and all the data analysis and report options that are available to you. So let's go ahead and get started. With Maximo76, meaning the delivered release, Maximo provides a wide range of business intelligence tools for you to analyze all the data that Maximo produces. And these tools are listed here in this diagram. They're listed in a hierarchy order, meaning that the tools on the lowest level have the least amount of analytic capability, and that analytic capability increases as we move up the spectrum. And each one of these tools has multiple use cases. So for example, with QBE or data download, you may be in an application like work order and you just want to directly export your list tab result sets to Excel. And that gives you a form of analysis, which is provided in this tool. And then the other tools are highlighted here. But what I really want to focus on is to highlight that in Maximo76, we made updates to the majority of these tools, and they were major updates. So we significantly updated result sets to be able to include attributes from multiple objects. In KPIs, we introduced two new applications, KPI Template and KPI Viewer, along with making numerous updates to the KPI Manager application. In ad hoc reporting, we added performance features as well as new summary and calculation features. And Bert reports, again, major updates. We upgraded to the latest version of Bert. We added numerous performance updates and also made some architectural changes. And then lastly, in Cognos BI, Maximo76 is the first release where you're directly entitled to the Cognos 1021 BI server components on your bill of materials. But when you see this vast amount of tools, you may be specifically looking at the reporting options and wondering which reporting tool or tool should I utilize in my Maximo environment. And that's what we're going to explore today. In this slide, you can see the different reporting tools that are available to you out of the box. Our embedded tool is Bert. Bert is based on the open source Eclipse platform. Also with Maximo76, you're directly entitled to use the Cognos 1021 BI server along with its multiple other components. And then also we have two other options that are available to you. ERI, which stands for External Report Integration, where you can bring in essentially any reporting tool into the Maximo framework in the Maximo environment. And then ODP or Open Database Platform. So let's highlight each one of these tools in detail, and then we'll start to look at a comparison between them. So let's start with Bert. As I mentioned, Bert is the embedded reporting tool in Maximo76, and it's based on the Eclipse open source platform. Now, there's many different aspects or processes that are involved with developing and administering and then running a report. And some of the screenshots that are involved with Bert are shown here. So for example, if I want to develop a deep enterprise report, I would utilize the Bert Designer. However, I also have the ability to create an ad hoc Bert report within the Maximo UI and the Maximo applications. I maintain my Bert reports through the Report Administration tool in Maximo. I can access a Bert report as shown down here in many different ways. I can do it from the Run Report menu. I can do it from the Report List portlet on the Start Center, or I can access a Bert report through some of our quick links like Browser View, Direct Print, and Direct Print with attachments. And then as you can see, there's a wide variety of report content that is available and that you can create. We deliver about 130 reports out of the box. Most of these span a variety of the applications in Maximo, and they give you that starting point or examples of how you could utilize Bert within your own environment. Our next tool that you have access to is Cognos. So in Maximo76, you're directly entitled to Cognos 1021, and you can see that on your bill of materials in Passport Advantage. Cognos is going to give you a very different user experience than Bert. So for example, when we typically run a Bert report from a Maximo application, we can instead go into Cognos and use it as a portal to access all of your Maximo reports. And that means, and I should carry that a little bit further and say that I can also directly sign into the Cognos server without having to go through Maximo. And that might be a very important point for some of your users whose main job focus is to analyze the Maximo data. With Cognos, you're going to administer it in the Cognos admin app, which is accessible from the Cognos BI server. Another key point I want to highlight about Cognos is the metadata. When we create a Bert report, we create a SQL statement and we bring in different objects and attributes. Well, with Cognos, it requires a metadata to start with, and a metadata is preformed objects where we have joined them together via SQL statements or max relationships. And we can easily create that metadata or those metadata packages from Maximo by capitalizing on the integration framework. And then for content in Cognos, there's a variety of different ways that you can look at content. And there's also a variety of different tools that produce that content. Here's a few different examples here of some ad hoc reports and also some reports with graphs. And I'd also like to highlight one of the biggest differences that you'll see between the embedded Bert tool and Cognos is the interaction with the content. And Bert report, when I run that report, I can print it, I can export it to Excel or other file formats, and that's a fabulous way to analyze the data. But Cognos takes it one step further. If I want to start to interact with that data, so for example, change a chart from a bar chart to a column chart or a pie or a line, I can do that on the fly in the Cognos Workspace tools. And also I can refilter the data. What does that mean? Imagine I have a bunch of work orders and I want to relook at my data dynamically by filtering on a work type or a priority or a supervisor. I have that capability within the Cognos Workspace tools where it is not available with Bert. Let's talk about our other tool, ERI. Again, this stands for External Report Integration. And in this case, it allows our clients to use any corporate reporting tools that they may already have license for and also have development experience with. So imagine you had a tool like Business Objects or Crystal and you wanted to bring that into the Maximo environment. You would simply have your Maximo server here and then you'd set up your separate Crystal or BO engine, and that would dynamically interact with Maximo, that's specifically the Maximo database. I could see those Crystal reports within the Maximo framework, and then they would be automatically displayed to my user. Why is this option important? Well, imagine that I'm a user and I really don't care what the reporting tool is. I just want to get my report information. And I want to be able to do that directly by using some application queries in Maximo, and I don't want to have to sign into a separate reporting tool. This is a perfect application for ERI. Again, you can bring in that external reporting engine, have it pull on the Maximo database, and have that information automatically displayed to your users. And then our last option is ODP, or Open Database Platform, and this is the simplest to configure. And so again, now just imagine that you have a number of users and they want to analyze the Maximo data, but they don't want to get into the Maximo apps. So what they're going to do is create their reports, again, assume BO Crystal or some other reporting tool, tie it up directly to the Maximo database, but don't go through the Maximo framework. So there may be a portal that they could execute these Maximo reports from. But because it is external to the Maximo applications in the Maximo framework, it's very simple to set up, but there will be no data restrictions available and no security restrictions, right? Those users are going to be able to see all data that they have been configured to in that reporting tool. So there's 4 different options available to you. Again, Bert, Cognos, ERI, and ODP. So how do you know which one to use? Well, let's focus on Bert and Cognos and do a comparison on some of the key attributes that you may want to take into consideration. First is licensing and support, and this one's pretty straightforward. With both Bert and Cognos, licensing is included out of the box. Bert because it's an open source product, and Cognos because now you have direct entitlement through Passport Advantage in Maximo 76. And because of that, If you have an issue configuring the two products, or you have a report we deliver and it's not running, product support from IBM will help you with that. So in that case, licensing and support is both enabled for Bert and Cognos. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the product entitlement specifically with Cognos. Again, I just want to highlight here that you're directly entitled to the Cognos BI server. It includes a number of components that are listed here: the Cognos connection, Report Studio, Query Studio, some of the newer Cognos products, Cognos Workspace and Workspace Advanced. The Cognos BI server is where we expect you to spend about 90–95% of the report time. But you also may bring in some of these other tools that are available to you: Cognos Insight, Lifecycle Manager, and Dynamic Query Analyzer. You're also directly entitled to those tools. Let's drill down a little bit more, and now let's talk about installation and architecture. And again, this may or may not be important to you as you make your reporting decision, but we just want to highlight all these factors. If you have a very small Maximo installation, and you don't want to do a lot of separate installation, then Bert may be the best thing for you. What does that mean? It means when you install Maximo, Bert is automatically installed and deployed. There's no separate installation. The only separate optional installation is if you want to develop Bert reports, then you could use the Bert Designer. That's a separate client install. But you could, conversely, develop reports with Maximo's ad hoc report development tool in 7.6 and never have to access the Bert Designer. Cognos is a separate installation. You have to install Cognos, and once that's installed, you need to configure Maximo and Cognos to work together. You do that by defining system properties and endpoint values in Maximo, and by defining things like namespaces and data sources in Cognos. For extended configuration options, those are available both in Bert and Cognos. What does this mean? It means, like, can I set up a separate database replication for reporting in Bert and Cognos? The answer is yes. Can I set up one or more separate report servers? Again, the answer is yes for both of those environments. And then the last item I want to highlight here is the pre-join metadata. That's so important for Cognos because what that's going to do is it's going to ensure that everyone is developing reports based on the same model or the same package. And so whether I'm creating an ad hoc report in Cognos or or a report developed through Cognos Workspace Advanced or Report Studio, I'm going to use that pre-join metadata. In Bert, I actually do use that same pre-join metadata, but only in the case of ad hoc reporting. So I didn't put the check mark there. 100% of the time we use the metadata in Cognos versus in Bert, we use it a portion of the time. Selection of tools, let's talk about this for a minute. If this is important to you, and it may become more important to you over time, is, what are the different types that are available to me? Report development tools that are available to me. Well, with Cognos, I have actually 3 different tools that I could develop a report in. I can use a legacy ad hoc report development tool called Query Studio. I could use the newest ad hoc report development tool called Cognos Workspace Advanced, or I can use the enterprise report development tool called Report Studio. In Bert, I don't have those same options. I can create an enterprise report in the Bert Designer, but I could also create an ad hoc report within the Maximo applications. So the variety of report development tools and BI tools goes to Cognos. Ad hoc reporting, we all love ad hoc reporting. It can significantly streamline the number of custom reports you need to create, and that's going to help your upgrade process. It's going to reduce your costs across the board. So can I do that in Bert and Cognos? Definitely. Both of those have options for you to do that. If I want to maximize my Maximo features when I'm creating an application report, I'm going to be able to do that best in Bert. That's because the ad hoc reporting tool is deeply embedded within the Maximo applications. So what does that mean? It means, can I apply my application query to my ad hoc report? Yes. Can I apply the same UI that my users are familiar with and define the parameters that my users are familiar with the ad hoc report in Bert? The answer is yes. However, if I want to get into some advanced features with ad hoc reporting, and there's an example shown here on the bottom, like including a wide variety of chart types, whether it's a line, a bar, a column, pie, etc. If I want to exactly be able to control the formatting of my report, those are the features that I'm really going to see with the Cognos ad hoc reporting utilizing Cognos Workspace Advanced. Let's talk a minute about administration. Again, if this is an important consideration for you, when you're looking at Bert and Cognos, there's a number of items that are highlighted here. You know, if you want to have a very simplified administration capability of reporting, Bert is going to come into play best. I can not only manage everything directly within Maximo, but I also have a number of performance enablers that I can directly apply to those Bert reports. Those performance enablers are specific to either the security group or the individual report, and they include things like the number of maximum parent level records, the maximum number of hierarchy records throughout the whole report. I can also set up security group levels. I can set up preview limits, ad hoc reporting, etc. So I'm going to see the most of the administration type features with Bert. However, Cognos is still very, very, very strong on the administration end. Another point you may want to consider is how the reporting tool or tools is integrated within Maximo. We call this the application integration. To maximize a user's experience who may be very limited to the number of applications he uses in Maximo, and maybe Maximo isn't his strongest skill set, a lot of times those users just want to click on an icon and they want to have their report automatically print. We call things like that browser view, direct print, and direct print with attachments. There's slight variations to each. That feature is only available with Bert, and we really expect that it will only be available with Bert. Cognos is more geared towards accessing a portal and being able to look at the data and the reports on that separate portal. And that goes online again with the application query over here. But then again, for those users who want one central location to run all of their reports, Cognos is a phenomenal tool for them. So it really depends on your user skill sets and their needs and their preferences in this particular scenario. Another item you might want to consider is how we run reports. Again, this kind of seems like a tiebreaker here. I want to highlight that both tools have exceptional capability. For Bert, parameter flexibility and scheduling and emailing, again, all contained within the Maximo application. That is what it is extremely strong at. But then, as I mentioned down here on the bottom, dynamic report interaction, this is Cognos' strong point. This is an example on here of a Cognos workspace. These are 4 individual graphs, and I can use these filters over here on the far right-hand side to dynamically refilter or refresh that data to get the information I need. So a lot of strong capabilities, and again, that dynamic user interaction so they can drill down and analyze the data to find what they need to find. Another aspect is delivered content. In this case, we have significantly increased what we have delivered with Cognos in the Maximo76 release. Prior to 7.6, we only delivered reports in Bert, but now in 7.6, not only do we deliver Cognos reports, but we also deliver workspaces, and these are the workspaces down here, which are a collection of different charts and one central location. You could also think of this as something like a dashboard. And also delivered packages. And the packages are those metadata models that I mentioned. And because we are now delivering reports and workspaces, we need to deliver those packages for you so you could run these out of the box and again, analyze them, and all this source is available to you so you can duplicate it, modify it, copy, learn from it, expand on it, whatever you would like to do. So while there's a lot of information that I've covered really quickly here, but what I really want to highlight to you, most importantly, is there's a number of report options that we deliver in Maximo76, Bert and Cognos, which we've heavily focused on in this presentation here, but also the ERI and ODP. And what we want to encourage you to do is to analyze all these tools and utilize the tool or tools that is best for your environment. And that's a really important point. Many of our clients utilize Bert for the embedded features like browser view and direct print with attachments, and also the ad hoc reporting, and they supplement that with Cognos reporting. So that for those set of users who need to analyze data and who want to access a separate portal to do that, Cognos is a fantastic fit. So you can utilize Bert, Bert and Cognos, Cognos, ERI, any combination of these tools, again, to meet your unique business needs. So before I leave today, I just want to highlight that I've went through this very quickly, but there is a white paper available where you can review this in detail. It describes each one of the reporting options, gives you more details, gives you more architectural diagrams, and then explains each one of these separate comparisons that I glossed over very quickly today, again, so you can look at this in more detail. And I just want to highlight how you can find this guide. There's a URL here, but I can simply go to Google and type in Maximo76 Report Comparison Guide, which I had typed in earlier. And when you come up with Google, what you want to do is you want to look for the PDF, right? I'm looking for a white paper. So when I put in Maximo 7 Report Comparison Guide, go for the PDF. It should hopefully show up on top, and there's the guide there, and you can download that. All right, let's see if there's anything else. I think that's about it. So again, this is the Maximo76 Report Options and Comparison, where we looked at Bert, Cognos, ERI, and ODP. And I'd like to thank you very, very much for your time. Thank you.